How are you guys this evening? I am trying to fix all technical errors here. And there are many. Uh-oh. And there are many. Hey, MJ and J family mukbangs, how are you? Are you guys doing well? Thank you for joining in tonight. It means more than you guys know. Okay. Turn the comments on. Hey, Winston, how are you? Yeah, I've been working on. Hey, Crystal G. Thanks for peeking me in. I am actually working on. Oh, thank you, Winston. You're so sweet. Trying to get my area set up so I don't have to set it up every time I come on live. As well as getting my banner situated. But when being creative, it takes a while to get things the way that you want it. But today's topic, I'm ready to just jump right on in because I'm definitely going to do an hour today. But basically, you guys saw I don't know where my phone is, saw the flyer that I put out saying how do you love in a world where you really don't feel like you can trust, and then how do you trust in a world where you don't feel much love? You guys can hear me well. One second. And so what brought me to this, and I didn't want to put it in the actual chat, but what brought me to this topic was seeing just the different stuff on the news. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Hey, CeeLo. Dealing with the things that we've seen over the past week, 2 weeks with Ahmaud Arbery, with Sean Reed, with Breonna Taylor, with Tatiana Jefferson, and hearing the things that we say as a culture behind them has just, been weighing heavy on me. It made me wonder, did I grow up naive? Did I grow up oblivious to the things that were going on in the world? And the truth is, I don't think that I did. I went to a very diverse high school. It was diverse at that time. Hold on one second. It was diverse at that time. And when I say diverse, I'm not just talking about color. We were truly diverse from, I'm sorry, hold on. From color to disabilities to socioeconomic backgrounds. You had some of those that didn't have money. You had middle income, high income. Like there was a variety of people. And so what concerned me is the upbringing that I had was absolutely amazing. So amazing that when I see the things that currently happen, I'm like, what is going through the minds of those that do this type of thing? I remember being in school, and it was always a great mixture, and we didn't have a lot of money. Um, we just we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of we would what you would say middle class, I guess. We weren't low income, but we still lived in the area where there was, fairly low income. It was a great diverse group of kids. And so in that time, we would never, babe, just come in and do it. We would never hurt anyone. I'm sorry, y'all. My husband is trying to, it's my seat is too low and this is too close. He's my executive producer. Um, we would never, like, we didn't have any racial tension. That's what I sit back and I look and I try to think, like, we didn't have racial tension. We just went to school, came home, um, went back, repeat, did it again. And so it made me question, was this stuff hidden? What is different now? Um, is it something that's always been around and we just kind of overlooked it? What is it? What's going on? Because here's the thing. I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother passed away in 2014. Well, grandparents until I was 13 years old. My grandmother passed away in 2014, and she was 94 years old. So I had the best of both worlds. Like, I knew what it was like to have grandparents. Hi, pretty saucy. I knew what it was like to have a need, to use coupons. But I also knew what it was like to go out to eat, to experience times with friends, being a Girl Scout, doing different things like that. And I just don't remember growing up separated or segregated. I think back to our neighborhood that I actually grew up in, and at that time, there was still some diversity because we literally lived next to an Indian reservation. So they went to school with us. We would pick them up. Like, there was no, I don't remember that time where there was actual racial tension. And so seeing the things that we see now, I struggle with believing that the world is this place that's just filled with hate. Though that's what it kind of looks like on the news. And so I have to check myself a lot of times. And I'm grateful for the people that God has placed in my life, like my coach from high school. I've been out of high school 24 years. And he actually became part of my life around 13 or 14. And he's still a part of my life. He's of a different. I mean, he's white, but I look at him like a dad. I look at his wife like a second mom. They were there for me. As far as my church goes, like, go to a multicultural church, hang out with our pastor, and consider them as friends. Just have friends that are from different countries. And so when you're around this daily and you see that type of love, it prevents you from being completely blinded by what you see on TV. Because the thing that I know is, if I didn't have those people, I want to say those people, people that don't look like me in my life, I probably could shut down and just be like, you know what? This world is mean. It doesn't want me in it. And I'm gonna go over here to this side of the town and I'm gonna stay in it. And I'm gonna be good over here, teach my kids how to stay alive, and that's how we're gonna go. But that's not the way. So tonight's question is, how do we love in a world where it's hard for us to trust? And then how do we trust in a world where we don't feel like there's much love? When I look at the Ahmaud Arbery case, and you guys have seen it, so I'm not going to pull it up or share it. But when I look at that, I think about just how, you know, my mind can't wrap around a citizen's arrest, but you guys gathered your guns to go and do it. My mind just, I can't process that. It doesn't make sense to me. Um, and we do have the rights to bear arms. Um, I I'm licensed to carry. I carry to protect myself. Um, I knew how to shoot at an early age. It's not something that is foreign or that we shouldn't know. So why don't we, even with gun with safety, why are we waiting or not teaching our children at all when that's not the way of the world? Um, I think about how they got in the car, and we can say all day long, well, he shouldn't have ran and got his gun. I can't imagine what I would have done in that situation. He chose to jog around trying to get away from them and was blocked in by a car. So that vehicle became a weapon. He didn't try to grab the gun to shoot and kill them. He tried to grab the gun to get away and to have some leverage for himself. So it was kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for him. Um, when I watched it, thank you so much, Pretty Saucy. You are too. When I watched it, all I could think about was my sons. You know, I have an 18-year-old that is athletic, that jogs, that works out, that is a gentle giant. Um, but at the same time, if somebody saw him and didn't know him, they wouldn't know he's a gentle giant. He's just this 18-year-old football player that's buff. So how do we get past this perception of them being, or him being dangerous or looking dangerous? Because what I'm beginning to see as a consistent pattern is that being Black has become a weapon in itself. Um, and that's not okay. And I don't think my sons should have to feel bad because they're Black. I think the racist white people need to feel bad because they're racist. And the reason I said racist white people is because all white people aren't racist. There are some racist Black people too, though we say we can't be racist. Yeah, we can. And so we have to be mindful of that. Um, the simple thing would be, hey, Trigger Trey. The simple thing would be to retreat to ourselves, retreat to our own area, and you live a life that we think is conducive for our kids. Teach them, our history. But what good is just that? When the world is so much bigger and so much broader than that. And then, truthfully, if you think about it, the United States is just a part of the world, but it's one of the most prejudiced countries in the world. So even though we're looking at the United States and what's happening here, there's still so much more to the world, so many more places in the world where skin color truly does not matter. So how do we get that to happen here? How do we get that to happen in the United States? How do we get away from the myths that we've allowed to be placed upon us, like Black on Black crime? It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as Black on Black crime. Most crimes are committed by someone that looks like you. So if there's Black on Black crime, there's white on white crime, there's Asian on Asian crime. So that's a myth that we even have to stop saying. When do we stop taking responsibility and stop saying, well, until we love ourselves, nobody is going to love us? Well, when were we ever just truly loved and respected in America? We came to, and I'm not going to say we, well, yeah, I can say we because of lineage, but was brought to America not on the basis of love, be it we were sold by a Black man or not on the basis of love, but on the basis of value and what we can bring to the country. So how do we get away from that? how do we close the gap between a particular um, race? And what I mean by that, I often see the Blue Lives Matter, and I see people get frustrated when we say Black Lives Matter, but not trying to fully understand that, yeah, all lives matter, but all lives aren't being taken on a regular basis. All lives don't have an issue with jogging down the street and not being hunted. All lives don't have um, the fear of allowing their children to go out of the house or to different areas in the city, and because they're not familiar with the officers in that area, you worry about something happen. All lives don't have to go to the police station to introduce their entire family so that they can feel safe in their neighborhood, not from the criminals, but from the police. And this is me speaking as the daughter of a retired firefighter, the cousin of several police officers. So this isn't an anti-police topic. This isn't an anti-white, an anti-black, a pro-white, pro-black. This is a love topic. How do we make things better? I see in the comments where CeeLo says that the whole situation is still hard to understand and it's very sad, and I agree. Once that I don't have any at the current moment. Everybody was removed so that I could try to figure out how to get my husband on there. Still learning the system. CeeLo said systematic fear that someone is taking something from you, i.e. money, opportunity, power, and the list could go on. And the sad part is there's enough money for all of us. Power is something I don't even have to really have. Like, if you want to be in charge, I can be in charge. I ain't got to be in charge. It doesn't change who I am. It's a struggle for me because here's the thing. For those of us that believe in heaven, when we get to heaven, it's not going to be a white section, black section, Asian section, Hispanic section, Latino, Colombian. No. When nothing approaches us by race and color, meaning, okay, let's talk about the diseases, because even with the coronavirus, how it's saying that most African Americans have so many underlying health conditions. We're not the only ones that have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and all of the other food issues. Truthfully, believe it or not, I think if we took a survey, most Black people don't even eat pork anymore. And I'm saying most are trying to transition to vegan and pescatarian. Is that what you say? Just eating fish, and vegetarian, different alternatives to be healthier, because we do know that just some things we're predisposed to. That's the best way to say it. We know where the history of that comes from, but that's still not right now. I think if we were to take some different surveys and to look at some different things like the American health association, I think we will find that some of those things that used to be issues for us aren't true issues. So why do we still hold on to them? Why do we allow people to make certain things our issue? When I think about and I'm just doing each case as it goes, and then I'll open up the line. When I think about Sean Reed, when will we have a conversation about what were right actions and what were wrong actions? I keep hearing everybody say it was overkill. It was overkill. But when are we going to address the issue that he did have a gun on him? When are we going to address the issue that, yeah, maybe it could have fallen out of his pocket, but when are we going to address the issue that someone said stop and he said F you? and then we heard bullets. And truthfully, to say overkill, he was shot 10 times. How many officers were out there? Do they stop and do a conference before their weapon is fired in a pursuit of such? And I'm just asking. I hadn't seen the autopsy. I don't know if he was shot in the back. I don't know if he was shot side, front. I don't know. I know there were multiple weapons because you could hear that on the video. So when do we address the behavior before that? When do we talk about the fact that his behavior was manic on the live, and the fact that we heard an officer say, "I turned off because," which means they were watching his Facebook Live. When do we address the fact that there is a video on his Facebook of him shooting at an apartment complex? When do we address those things? And I say that because we still have children, and we can't have them getting angry about everything, and it looks like their lives don't matter, when there are some things that can be controlled. Now, I can go back as far as Philando Castile. He did everything right. Everything right. And he still lost his life. So that goes back to an issue of, why are you so afraid of a Black man? What have we done, or what have they done to be looked at as a threat instead of a friend, instead of a brother? And that doesn't apply to everybody, but it's happening again too often. When do we talk about Breonna Taylor being in her home and wasn't even dressed, and there was a what do you call it? They didn't have to announce that they were the police with the type of warrant that they had, and they had regular clothes. So when do we address the fact that her boyfriend had the right to bear arms and to shoot because he felt as if someone was breaking into their home? When do we talk about that? Bearing arms isn't just for a particular sector. It's for all of us, for protection. That's what the Constitution says, right? So when do we talk about that? When do we talk about a Tatiana being at home with her nephew playing a video game, and the fact that her neighbor probably is living with the horror of, "I just was trying to check on her"? So when do we talk about that, so we can make sure that those type of things don't happen again? Because I remember when it happened, I was like, don't do a welfare check on me. If you're not coming to check on me yourself, don't send the police. I remember a time when the police coming to the school was a good thing, and they brought McGruff, the crime dog, and the whole "just say no to drugs." But now they're in schools, and we call them resource officers, but they're there prepared to take to jail children that fight, children that have behavior issues, children that are acting wayward, versus parents coming and dealing with their own children. When do we talk about that? When do we have these conversations? Because the truth is, if you go to a private school, you're not going to see you may see a security guard in the parking lot, but you're not going to see police officers. So when do we talk about these things? And then how do we get past it? Because again, do I want to live segregated and no, that's not what the world, I just don't believe that's how God created the world to be. And if that was the case, I wouldn't even be the skin tone that I am. My mama definitely wouldn't have been the skin tone that she was. So it's not the case. So when? Um, because it's hard to trust right now. I got pulled over about 2, 3 months ago, and it was fearful. My husband and I got pulled over about a year ago, coming from Alabama on a dark road, coming from one of our son's football games, and we were both afraid to move. My heart was beating fast. The police officer did ask him for something, and he told us, "You can calm down. I'm not gonna shoot you," as if we were overreacting by saying, "We're not gonna move. You gotta go get it, yourself. We're afraid." And Crystal, probably so, but it was dark. We're talking about after a football game, so we could have been hid, and nobody would have known. And we're sitting there afraid of not making it home to our children, and we're adults. So if we feel this way as adults, and I mean good and grown adults, how do you think our children feel? How do you think they feel? And so I'm just asking the questions of when, why, how, and my hows are to make it better. What do we have to do? Because we can say all day long, well, we need kids to do this, we need them to do that, but we all have to take responsibility for the things that are going on and making them better. So I'm going to open up the lines because tonight was definitely or is definitely going to be just an hour. And I'm going to put the link in. Tickets are high there. Matter of fact, I need to check with my husband because we got one in Arkansas too. Lord help us. But yeah, so the link is in the chat. I would love to hear from some of you guys regarding your thoughts on what to do. If anybody younger is watching, and when I say younger, I am 42. Yeah, I think about my age. I would love for you to let me know your thoughts because I can say how I feel all day long in this particular instance, but you guys are living it more. You're driving more. I drive a little less now, and especially with Corona being out. Yeah, I'm good. I have no reason to be out in the street. I'm trying to stay negative. So, what are your thoughts? Um, is it okay? Which I don't think you guys think is okay. But do you have any ideas on how we can change it? Because that's what I mean, it's gonna take us all working together, um, all skin tones. Tyler Perry did a challenge of singing. He's got the whole world in his hands, and this is true to me. But then, why don't I feel this comfortable as some others? Why don't I feel like I'm gonna be okay? Um, why don't I feel like my children are gonna be okay? Why does my heart have to skip beats every time they leave the house? Why do I have to give a speech every time they leave the house? Why do I have to give, why? Here I am, and I'm just on my first generation, which is my kids. I don't know how much my heart can take with my kids, grandkids, and if I get to see great grandkids. So how can we fix it? Change it, opening your eyes and staying woke. And what scares me about that is I thought I was woke. Like I thought I was woke. I know my history. I know the history of the United States. I know, um, I even know my ancestry, um, so I don't know. I just know that this isn't okay. I know that what I feel and the feelings that I have, I didn't always experience them. I know that we have to be smarter in some of the things that we do and some of the things that we allow to go on. Um, but as a country, what do we do? Thank you for being here, Trigger Trey. Um, I asked Trigger Trey the other day, was he from the South? And he told me no, he's from up north. But the fact that it was Trigger Trey just made me think about Trigger Man, which made me think about the South. But I'm telling my age with that one. Um, CeeLo said she thought she knew, but now she's still trying to understand. And if I could be totally honest, I thought I knew. I thought if I raised my children in a diverse environment, I thought if I taught my children how to love everybody, I thought if I loved everybody, that I wouldn't have some of those issues. But the truth is, that's not the case. That is not the case. Um, and it's so easy to get in a bubble with those that you love. And when I say those that you love, like our bubble is diverse. Our bubble isn't just black people. Um, Truthfully, if you look at my immediate family, you would think that it's um, diverse, as in white and black, but we're black. Um, but our circle is filled with black, white, Latino, Colombian, um, Asian, Philippine, um, a little bit of everything. A great melting pot. We've never told our children who they can and cannot date. I'm going to love whoever they bring home. Um, but that still doesn't change what the world sees. And then I have to wonder, is it because my mentor, I'm a disability advocate. I don't think I put that on here. But my mentor is white. She's not black, and she's older than me. But she's like the coolest lady in the world. And I have to think about it. She wasn't raised in the South, so she doesn't have a South mentality. So I know a lot of this is a South mentality, but how do we change it? How do we infiltrate the structures? Because if I could be completely honest with you and tell you I'm going to be completely honest with you and tell you how I feel. When that video was released of the gentleman killing, hunting Ahmaud Arbery, my feeling was, let's go do a citizen's arrest. Why are we waiting on a grand jury? They didn't wait on a grand jury. We have the same rights. Let's go do a citizen's arrest. And that's where my mind has been. Thank you, pretty saucy. That's where my mind has been. And I know, the Bible says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And we don't have a right to go out and do eye for eye. We're supposed to turn the other cheek. But like I said, what happens when the bones are broken in the cheek because we've turned it so much? Do we start turning other body parts then? When is it okay for us to fight back? And when I say us, I don't just mean black. I mean those of us who do not agree with the injustices that have happened. Those of us who feel that what's the purpose of a justice system if we're going to try and convict people and finish out the sentence before they ever get before a jury of their peers? We have to know this is that isn't okay. We have to know that there's a better way. Um, sorry. We have to know that there's a better way. So again, we're 35 minutes in, 25 more minutes to go. I'll put this chat in. I'm pretty saucy. I try to be a good parent. When I tell you I've made so many mistakes as a parent, still making mistakes as a parent. My middle child makes me feel like I'm the worst parent, and he didn't do it intentionally, but it's just like I feel like I can never get it right with him. But then even with my youngest child, like I don't know what I'm doing. This is new to me. Um, so I struggle. I know that I love them, all of them, with every fiber of my being. And then I love the things that are an extension of them. So I love their friends. I love their friends' parents. I love their friends' siblings. Like it doesn't stop with them. I have that whole it takes a village mentality, because it does. It's not something I can do on my own. And I don't think we were designed to do life on our own. I know we weren't designed to do life on our own. When we went through our whole COVID-19 situation, we had to depend on people outside of our home. And was it super easy? No. I'm independent. All the way there, independent. Throw your hands up at me. Um, so yeah, it no. And Dre says we often look inward for resolution, but if those fear us or were raised to hate don't look inside, society will still fall short. And unfortunately, that's true. One of the things that I do love about attending a multicultural, multi-generational, multi-ethnic, different socio-economic backgrounds church is the fact that it makes me look at life differently. It makes me look at their world differently from our worlds. And it's okay to each celebrate our own culture. So there's nothing wrong with me being a proud Black woman. And there's nothing wrong with me saying that this particular white woman is my sister and she's in my world and there's nothing I wouldn't do for her. And there's nothing wrong with her being a proud white woman and then saying, this Black woman is my sister and I don't want anything to there's nothing wrong with that. Celebrating our differences is what makes us human, what makes us a melting pot, what makes us learn. Like we never stop learning. But if we can't even go into each other's houses and share dishes and different foods and different what do you call it, culture values, then we'll never understand each other. For many of us, all we'll have is what's on TV, and what's being portrayed on TV. I just don't believe that's the entire world. I believe it's a small sector of the world, but because it's happening so much, so frequently, and nothing is happening, um, it seems like a lot. And what I'm afraid of is we're going to get to a state where my generation, which I was reading something that said those that were born from 77 to 82 really don't fit into uh, Generation X, and they don't fit into the millennials, so they are zennials. And I can see that because we're the era where there was no internet, there were still rotary phones, we're the era where where internet became a thing, where you had to unplug the phone to plug up the internet, or you're trying to dial out on the internet and you hear the little sound being made and it's like, I'm on the phone. And so it's like, I needed to use the internet. And so you got to unplug the phone to use the internet, dial up. The era where TVs went from the little black and white TV to the big tube TV that was on the floor that it took about 10 people to move in and out, from using an antenna with foil on it to actually having the cable box that so that's my generation. And so what I'm afraid of, uh, Tanika says, hey, Tanika, we are human. There will be mistakes, um, of course. But I'm afraid that our generation is not going to be able to rein in the millennials in a minute if we don't step up now and try to bridge this gap. Because what's happening is the gap between the millennials and the baby boomers and Generation X, um, it's coming wider. And as it becomes wider, there's going to be more fear because there's not interaction. Um, it's actually an X in front. But you got the rest of it right. It's just they put the X instead of millennial. It's a zennial. I think it's Z-I, Z-E-I. Send you y'all. Yeah. Okay. So I don't no, hold on. Okay. So yeah, zennials. Hold on. We're not gonna use Wikipedia. We all know that that can be um, misleading. So here's a good one. And this is an article from USA Today from 2018, but it's according to the Pew Research. So members of Generation X were born between 1965 and 1980, and millennials were born between 1981 and 1996. But the zennials, though, were born sometime between 1977 and 1983. So that's my age. That would be 42. Some of them have already turned 43. To what is that? 6 years from me, so 42 to 48. Am I saying that right? No, younger than me because I'm on the So it'll be 6 years younger than me. So it will be 38 to 42. Am I saying it right? Or 39? Yeah, 38 to 40, 36, 42, something like that. Yeah, I'm not doing math. But yeah, so that in itself is like, how do we bridge the gap? We're the generation of yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. How do we bridge that? What do we do? Because you got kids now that are yeah, no, mm-mm, I don't know, I guess, huh? Like what? Who raised you? But it's common. A lot of people think that it's okay. But because I wasn't raised that way, and I'm from the South, I expect a yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, a hello if we, make eye contact. I remember my husband and I went to New York, and New York is extremely fast paced, and I love visiting there. However, I could never live there because I'm too kind. And I'm not saying that the people in New York are mean, they're just busy. Um, and I'm not busy. And I like to stop and say hello and have a conversation. And so this particular housekeeper, I would pass her in the morning and I would say, "Good morning, how are you?" And the first couple days, it was just like she was looking at me like I was kind of crazy. And then by the third day, she was like, "I'm fine. How are you?" I was like, "I'm good. I'm good. Glad to see that you're doing good or whatever." And she was like, "Thank you. Thank you." And then that's when it dawned on me, okay, maybe I'm out of my element because she wasn't expecting me to speak to her. She was expecting me to walk right past her and not say anything, and that's okay for New York. You could tell I was a tourist because where everybody else was walking fast, I'm just taking my time, looking, enjoying the scenery. Um, and so it just makes me it 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 frustrates me because I know that the entire world isn't this way. But the small sector that is doing so much damage mentally. Um, how do we handle it? Pretty saucy. You said my kids do that. Which part? The huh or the yes, ma'am, no, ma'am? And that doesn't mean that they're disrespectful if they do that. I have an aunt that she's of course she's older than me because she's my aunt. But she told me that she didn't force her children and they grew even though my aunt grew up here in the South and their dad grew up in the South, they were raised in Arizona and she didn't force them to say yes ma'am, no ma'am. She said she didn't feel that they needed to do that. She felt that I don't remember the reason why, so I don't want to say. I think I remember, but I'm not 100% sure. So she don't make them say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. But in the South, it's so regarded as respectful that it's another tool that needs to be used to kind of ensure that your children come home alive and that they make it far. And I know that sounds so bad, but it's true. And I even do it to people that are younger than me. Um, CeeLo says she still say, huh? Bad habits. So who you be saying, huh, to, Gary? Oh, Jesus. She didn't get the same whoopings I got, y'all. Her whoopings was a little different. Um, but my whoopings made me remember, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And then eventually now, she said, everybody, go on, me and gangster. Um, I would say yes, ma'am, to the cashier at Wendy's, and she can be younger than me. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. It's just, I don't know. It's who I am. Now, my daughter is youngest daughter is a little different. My oldest I always try to make her say please, thank you. I'm like, if I can just get her to ask me for what she wants because she's not verbal, I don't need a yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, or please, thank you. Um, she said, okay, I can't even. Yeah, but yeah, I have topped the whole show. We're 50 minutes in. Um, yeah. And I still didn't get the answer to my question, which is how do we love in a world that we can't trust, and how do we trust in a world where we don't feel love? I have an idea, but again, it's my unprofessional opinion. And my opinion is that love shouldn't come with conditions, that we should love unconditionally. Um, we should love without expectation. We should love without a regard of if someone loves us back or not. Our love shouldn't be contingent upon what someone does for us. That's one. Um, when it comes to trusting, I think that we all have to search within ourselves, project positivity, and just know that it's okay to be who you are, regardless. As long as you do it in truth, as long as you do it respectfully, whatever it is, it can be done. Hey, Brooke. Um, and those are my just the things that I think, but that doesn't mean it all the time. Hey, Derek. I appreciate you. Oh, Philly. Y'all are good. Y'all are good. I'm actually like 9 minutes from the close, but if you have any comments about how to love in the society that we have right now with all of the different things that are going on and how to help the millennials transition into a place of authority, because many of them now are in a place where they can start running some things, and leading some things and leading the generation that's behind them. Um, so yeah. And what are you guys' thoughts? Derek, is it you that told me that Jilly from Philly Mama lives a couple blocks over from you? Hey, hey,
Big time.
hey. That is not me.
You was about to ask a question. You was about to ask a question. I guess I caught you in midstream. How you?
I'm good. I'm good. I said, was it you that told me that Jilly from Philly mom live a couple of blocks from you?
My my. Wait, who from Philly? No, I ain't say
Well,
nobody from Philadelphia.
somebody, I don't know who it was, told me that Jill Scott. I'm gonna have to look at my phone.
Oh yeah. Right. Yes, yes.
Her,
Jill Scott. Jill Scott's mama stay about 4 blocks down the street. Yeah,
oh shucks. I
if
love
she's
me,
still there.
yeah, I love me some Jill.
If she's still there.
Oh wow.
If, yeah, if she's still there, she stay about 4 blocks that behind me. Yep.
Okay. How long have
Yeah.
you been in Philadelphia?
Well, I've been here since I first came here in '86 when I had got stationed at the Naval Hospital, and
Hmm.
I stayed here for 2.5 years, and then I went to Norfolk, Virginia,
Hmm.
and I got out of service in 1990, and I came back because my then girlfriend had convinced me to come back and stay because I was finna go back home. I was finna
Oh
go
wow.
back to Green.
Really?
And the funny thing is that I should not have even came to Philadelphia in the first place because when I had they give you like a dream sheet of places you want to go in America. So I put Millington, Tennessee. I was trying to go to Millington, Tennessee because
Really?
they got a naval some type of a base in
They,
Millington, Tennessee.
yeah. Hmm.
So I was trying to do that. Well, it's this guy from New York. He put Philadelphia. They said no. You from Mississippi, you going to Philadelphia, and you from New York, you going to Millington, and they
Wow.
would not let us sit. And that's how I ended up here.
Two different worlds.
Yep.
Two
Yeah.
different
But
worlds.
yeah, but I was listening at you for about 2 or 3 minutes before I had actually typed hey,
Hey.
um and based off the title, I think that what you're saying is a beautiful thing, but I give you the story that I told my daughter the first day I took her to preschool.
Hmm.
I say, girl, look, it's gonna be people that ain't gonna like you on sight. It's
Right.
nothing you did, it's nothing you said. It's just that they just don't like you.
Hmm.
And I'm saying that for this reason. Yes, we have a great capacity to love, but we also got a great capacity for evil. And you make sure you don't become that which you hate. I will put it like that.
Hmm.
Yes, if you are a good person, continue to be good. But
Hmm.
just understand. It's just some people had they broken because they had bad upbringings
Mhm.
They've been hurt,
Mhm.
and they bring that with them. You can't even reason with them. You
Mhm.
can't even reason with them.
Mhm.
So it's a waste of time to even do so. I would say keep pushing with that message, but I oftentimes I be hearing people talk on YouTube, and everybody is so, and you should be. Everybody's so upbeat, and they want to be positive, and they want to give a good message, but you got to get that underbelly.
No, you gotta tell the truth. Yeah, most
You got
definitely.
you got to get that underbelly. And what it is that I don't say these things that come on people's chats to rattle cages, trigger none of that stuff. I'm just one of these type people. I just call the world
Mhm.
as I see it, not how I want it. I would like it to be all roses, but then again, if it was all roses, that would be heaven, and we ain't there. We on earth.
No, we ain't. We ain't in heaven. We on earth. But in earth, we're not gonna have no segregated. I mean, in heaven, we're not gonna have segregated sessions.
We
Sections.
should not.
And that's the
Bingo.
part that um made me question myself. Because like I said, I grew up in a diverse environment, and not because I lived in the best of the best neighborhood or because we had a lot of money or anything like that. God just kind of let it happen that way, and I think probably because he knew that if I didn't have that experience with, like I said, my coach, who's white, the people from my church, if our circle wasn't so diverse, I think God, because I know me. So I think
Mhm.
God allowed me to go through those processes and allow those people to pour into me and to pour into my life so that when we got to a time like this, because there was a time in my life that, so that when we got to a time like this, I could, no matter how I felt inner conflict, my love for them would drive me back to a grounding station to refocus, to pray, to think differently. Because when I saw the Ahmaud Arbery, um, I was I was angry. Like you hunted him, and I thank God that my coach, and you weren't on when I said this, but he's white, and I look at him like a father. He called me because my Facebook posts they kind of told a different story about how I felt, which was the truth. Um,
Well,
he called me and he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm not." He said, "Okay," and it's fine for you not to be okay. And I thanked him for that because I went okay. Like,
right.
let's talk about the fact that the daddy was standing in the back of the truck like he was hunting. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the guns that they got and rallied to get a citizen's arrest. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that I felt like we should have mounted up and went and
Yeah.
did our own citizens arrest. You get what I'm saying? So
Yes, ma'am.
I'm thankful for the diversity that I do have in my life because it does keep me grounded. But I think that that is the method that, or the approach that we should take in being intentional to make sure that we have some diversity in our lives so that we can push past stuff that we should have been past. Here we are in 2000, I mean, that's in 2000. Oh yeah, 2020. And we're still dealing with some of the stuff, like the scene with Ahmad. That's something that we would have seen on TV in Roots or something like that, not like
Mhm.
2020.
Well, well. See, this is the thing. When to say what you just said is to ask the Dr. Claude Anderson says the dominant society. To say what you just said would mean that the dominant society would have to atone for what's happened. They would also have to want to share in power of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that them two things that I don't think I'm gonna see in my lifetime. To say that, yes, we still have a race problem in this country would be to admit the wrongs that they did, which means you would have to try to repair that which you have wrecked. We
And
23 we $23 trillion in debt. Ain't no reparations coming.
yeah.
You got this thing here, and you got all these hundreds of millions of people, well, these millions of people out of work. So you got that to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing on America's plate is the wrongs that they did to us. But then on the other hand, we have to use talking about love. Black people hate themselves, in my opinion. And you can make an argument that yes, without question, ain't no doubt about it. I don't care what nobody say. You, Boyce Walk, anybody. The fact is that until we get past our own internal hatred, the white man really can't wash his hands. It ain't right. It ain't fair. But he's not shooting me every Saturday night. You can say he started it. Without question, you can say that the white man kicked off all this hatred within black people. I don't know if Willie Lynch was a real historical person, but you read that letter, you read that infamous Willie Lynch letter, that sounds like 2020 black people. So I don't know which way we're supposed to go. Only thing I do know is that if you don't like you, why should I like you? So if black people can shoot up each other every Saturday night, wipe up the blood and get back to dancing, if you have these random shootings of whites on blacks and we're in such an uproar, to me, that dog don't hunt. You should be more of an uproar every damn Saturday night. And it's business as usual. Nobody seemed to notice. Nobody seemed to care until it's a white person do it. So
And so
I don't know if that's ever gonna get. I don't know if your question ever gonna get answered. I think where you were starting from was right. But I think until we get past our own internal hatred, your guess is as good as mine, partner.
hey, pretty chocolate girl. See, that's where I still struggle, because I do know that the media gets the opportunity, and this is something that I learned really last year, in trying to do something locally. The media paints the picture. So
Yes.
I'm not saying that we don't have black people that kill other black people, but there are white people that kill white people. There are Asians
Yes, that's
that kill
true.
Asians. Most times, a crime is committed against the person that looks like them. So, like
Yes,
I
ma'am.
said earlier, black on black crime, that is a myth. It doesn't exist. You don't hear people talking about white on white crime or Asian on
You
Asian crime.
don't.
It does not exist. So we have to, and when you talk about the self-hate, it's true because nobody's taught us how to love.
That's my point. That's my point. Right. Because everybody brings up that point and it's a good one. The fact is you will kill people that's in your proximity.
Yeah.
I understand it totally. But I say this here. We know all that, yet we continue killing.
Well, and the value
So
for life has definitely decreased.
so
But
it's
because
because
where did we drop the ball though? Where, and when I say we,
your
there
guess is good as mine. I don't know.
already a self hate there. However, I think this was Saturday when I talked about the men during the Harlem Renaissance time, and even the gangsters had on suits and nice shoes, and
Ma'am.
they loved themselves. They were proud of themselves. To this day, you're not going to be around Minister Louis Farrakhan with your pants sagging and that's not going to happen. So
Right.
where did that come from, and when did it become okay? As a mother, when I see my son pants hanging in a way that he already know, I'm gonna give you a wedgie. You might catch a foot. Don't play with me about them pants.
Well, if you want to try to put it in a historical thing with regards to where did we drop the ball, if I was a betting person, I would say directly after the civil rights struggle, and we were supposedly had got all these we didn't overcome and
Mhm.
we able to go work with white people and stuff like that, because even in the 60s and as late as me in the early 70s, black families were pretty much intact. But after about around the late 60s, early 70s, that's when you start seeing all these people starting to get away. The
Mhm.
heroin came in, and then of course you had the black exploitation films showing black people who look like coons and buffoons and all this other stuff. So if you would ask me, because I'd be 53 Wednesday. And
Oh,
I remember back to when everybody on the street, everybody had their dad in the house. That
yeah.
stopped after about around 75, 76.
And
So
you
if
wanna
I
know
if
It stopped
Uh-huh.
because you couldn't get any government assistance. You still can't if there's really a husband in the house. The
Yeah.
system wasn't set up for a family to be intact, which is sad. But it also helps me to understand why the older generation didn't want to depend on a system, um, because
That
you
that makes you an
no,
adult. Yeah,
yeah,
see, but that makes you an adult because one of the big greatest examples I always use, the last black man on TV, for as I'm concerned, was James Evans Sr. He only had on Good Times. He only had a fourth grade education, but he stayed with his family.
yeah, yeah.
But you don't see nothing close to that no more. And again, like I said, you don't, black families don't aren't intact. And if you want to break up the community, you start by breaking up the home.
Hello, taking that man.
And so to me, like I said, until we get that fixed again, because again, like I said, I will yield to you that yes, there is no they don't call it white on white crime, but we all know this, yet and still we continue on with the madness. So at some point, it's still is on the people who are hurting themselves. And we in a position now, we really can't afford to be hurting ourselves the way we do. Yes, they kicked it off. We know all that. Step two is doing something about it. And in my opinion, we ain't doing enough.
And you could be right. I know for me, I definitely tried to make my life look the way that I wanted the world to look and try to allow my children to be a part of that. And they are. I can honestly say that about my children. But then when I started seeing all of these shootings, and the crazy thing, the first police brutality thing that I remember is Rodney King. And so I had to have been a teenager at that time. But that's the first thing that I remember that I saw.
Hmm.
And even
Hmm.
in that, I remember all the different comedians talking about him going 85 in a Hyundai, knowing that he shouldn't have done that. And the infamous, I was telling somebody that can't we all just get along? That's the Rodney King tag. That was his thing. And
Hmm.
I agree with it. Can't we all just get along? But what does that look like? And I know what it looks like. So I can't. I think that's where my struggle is because I know what it looks like. Like I saw. I've had people to pour into me that doesn't look like me. I've had a pastor to pray over my mother that doesn't look like her, to walk with her during her illness, her last year here on life, her last day, there with me, having her last meal. So I know what it's like to be loved by people that don't look like me, and I know what it's like to love people that look like me. So when I hear the president talk about um people from Mexico or other areas like they're not humans, that infuriates me. But I struggle with the fact that if you're someone that looks different from me and it doesn't anger you, then what do you believe? Because I think it was Martin Luther King that said something similar to silence is agreeing
Ex-
or
Except,
accepting.
yeah.
So when do someone other than we can't take the guilt. We can't take the blame. Like we didn't create the mess. So that's like saying, no, you didn't
Yeah.
mess the kitchen, but clean it up. Okay, but
But,
how? We need to do it together. I don't know where the dishes go. I don't know. You get what I'm
but
saying?
see that. But that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying like 5 minutes ago. To say what you just said would mean someone would have to give up something, and the dominant society don't want to acknowledge the simple fact. And I'm gonna go back to what you said a second ago about the comedians was trying to highlight the fact that Rodney King may have had a criminal past. So that what it is, you kind of sideways justifying why he got beat.
Right. And it's
Well, I got news for you. I saw just today a 13-minute 45-second video of the Aubrey guy back in 2017 arguing with police, and he cussed them out. And the white police was actually very nice. Most people would say, well, if the cop went upside his head, he would have had it coming. But that what he did 2 years ago ain't have nothing to do with him being shot 2 weeks ago. But
Mhm.
I just saw the video for myself
Mhm.
earlier today. And
Mhm.
Miss Aisha, when you see it, the first thing you're gonna say is, well, why he had to do that? That's exactly when you see this video,
And I
you can
can
look at,
believe it, but how many
but that
times
has nothing to do with
right? Because that
yeah,
trust me, there's some things that I know people can pull up on me and be like, "That is not that same lady that's on YouTube right now.
yeah,
I'm not the
yeah.
same person." I had a heated temper. Um, that's just me telling the truth. It took God, wisdom, and life
Yeah.
experience to get me to this particular place. But that doesn't mean I deserve to be
Bingo. But
shot.
when yeah, because when I saw this video this afternoon of him, he just took off on the cop for no reason. The cop and actually I should tell you, when you see it, he tried to tase him but missed. He did not hit him, but he did run up on the police.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
everybody knew you ain't supposed to, you asking for it doing that. But still in all, we move on up to 2 weeks ago. That does not call that, because of what he did with the encounter of a few years ago, does not mean he was supposed to have been murdered.
Mm-mm.
But I go back to what you were saying a second ago. You're asking the dominant society to cede power. You're asking the dominant society to say, yes, I was wrong. And if you're wrong, that means you have to make it right. And then the way that the predicament that we have with our economy and with the debt, good luck with that. These things are going to happen, and I don't know. Your guess is good as mine. But clearly, morally speaking, the white man is at fault.
Dre says, let's keep in mind we're born into sin. Also, as far as history goes back, there has always been hatred with close groups, and even
Yes,
Africans killed Africans and sold others. This is true.
very true.
This
But the
is
problem with that is, well, it's not even a problem. That's a good point that the commenter put. But I'm saying, but we're talking about in today's current society, because everybody knows that the Africans sold Africans to the white man.
right,
So you can make that point as well. But we're talking about the fact that I don't think the Africans came up with the word with the N word. I don't use it.
right, right.
I don't use it. I've heard people say if you take it back all the way back, it was a negus. Even if that's the case, the fact is that the way it is used now, it is a hate-filled word towards blacks. And what black people have tried to do is take the word and spin it. You can't make thug positive, and I don't believe you can make the N word positive neither.
Well, I don't
So
think
you
it's
have
about making it positive, and I can say that for myself. I don't think it's about making it positive. For me, and this is something that I've always told my children, history can say history is his story.
yes.
And so when I think about it, I think about a particular attitude. And so that means you ain't got to be a particular color to be
But well,
of
see,
town.
well, right, and I hear that argument too. But again, I think everyone know if that's the case, then black people wouldn't get up in arms if Eminem said it. You wouldn't get up in arms if a white man said to you.
Exactly. I agree.
So that in itself, everyone knows the history of that word. That word is exclusively to put down black people the same way if I was to say use the epithet kike, that's essentially putting down Jews. But you don't hear them running around saying that. You don't hear them in no Jewish songs saying the word kike, but it's what is N words for life. N word this, N word that. So you are trying to put a positive spin on it. And so people, because I used to coming up in Mississippi, we was always told, well, the N word means you ignorant. No, 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 no. I know what I've heard, but
Mhm.
that word is used to denigrate people of African ancestry. And if it wasn't such a bad word, you don't get up in arms with when black people say, I mean, white people say it. In fact, last year, Kendrick Lamar dissed one of his white fans because she was singing a song that he wrote. And he said, hey, hold on. You can't say that. Well, why can't she? You wrote it.
Wrote it, yeah. And
So
did you
you can't have it both
know?
ways. You
Yeah.
can't have it both ways. But I hear people say, I hear people use that line of reasoning all the time that it just means somebody, even no, it ain't. No, it's not. I mean, I know what people say, but everyone knows the history because again, if it didn't have that history, it wouldn't sting you when the white man said it.
But
It should be universal, right?
well, you have to think about it from a world standpoint, though. In Spanish, black is it
Negro.
negro.
That's true.
It's
That's
spelled
true. But that, yes,
N-E-G-R-O.
but that but it's not used in that context though. Either way you slice it, either way you slice it, in American in the English language, that word is used to denigrate and diss and put down and castigate folks of African ancestry.
And then,
Everyone knows this.
but do we know that? Because let me say this: I looked at my mother's birth certificate when she passed away, and it says, and my mother was born in 1960, Negro female.
Yes.
N-E-G-R-O female, and there are people just a little bit older than me, and their original birth certificate says the exact same thing.
Mine says that I was born in Mississippi in 67, but you got to remember the times in which I was born.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't dare put that on a birth certificate in 2020. Remember, so you have to understand the time in which you're living. Mm-hmm. So back then it was accepted. Let a black child be born today and try. I dare you.
And the words in the world in words evolve. That's just like the R word. You're not supposed to use the R word. They don't even use it as a diagnosis anymore. They call it intellectual disability. So words in the world evolve. I will say, I just want to say this part about the reparations, because one of the things that I said, and I said it in my Facebook post, because I was like, this is to all of my white friends. I love you. You're going to see some stuff that you probably going to be wondering what happened, but just know that I love you. And if you can't take it, go on unfriend me now. But the truth of the matter is, I also said, and I don't need an apology from you because you didn't do this. So I don't need an apology from you. All I need you to do is love me, pray for me, help me get through it. But I don't need you to apologize for your ancestors' sin.
That's the linchpin. That's where the whites today can kind of they have an out, because yes, your white coach had nothing to do with the enslavement of your great grandmama.
Right.
But they do reap the benefits of what they did prior to, because you can't go into a store and he can go into a store and don't get looked at. You gonna get questioned as soon as you hit the door. That type of thing. So there is some responsibility on the people that are today. So
their responsibility is to speak up. In my opinion, their responsibility is to no longer be silent. I actually watched, there's a documentary on Netflix, and I can't think of the name of it, where a lady went around, she's a comedian, but she went around and she realized that she had white privilege. And so she went around talking to other white people about white privilege. And it was an interesting documentary to see that a lot of white people didn't realize that there was a such thing as white privilege. So for me, after watching the documentary, even though she was trying to make them aware, for me, it became, how can I be mad at you about something you don't even know that you're doing wrong?
Yeah. You know what? Here. It's right here. I got it right here. This is called Two Nations. You see it?
Mm-hmm.
By
Andrew Hacker. Mm-hmm.
Andrew Hacker is still alive.
Mm-hmm.
BET, when they was actually having good content on BET, they had a show called Our Voices. And in that show, Our Voices with Bev Smith, she interviewed Andrew Hacker. I bought that book the day after I saw his interview. And this is what I'm paraphrase, of course. I'm gonna paraphrase, then I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna let you go and get your show back. And thank you for this time.
Thank you. You're the only person that called in tonight. I guess everybody else just like to hear me talk.
Yeah, well, I'm one of them. but I'm paraphrasing what Hacker said. He said, yes, we own it all, and we aren't ceding anything to you. This is a black woman talking to an older white man, and
Mm-hmm.
he said, yes, without question, we have done things to the African. We made destiny manifest. We built our country, and we formed it the way we saw fit, and we used you all to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said, no, we are not ceding power. And so ever since I heard that phrase, I've been saying it. This was back like maybe 93. He was on Our Voices.
Mm-hmm.
But that next day, I went to when they had bookstore. I went to
Mm-hmm.
Barnes and Noble and got this book. As you can see, I still got dust on it. This book been I had the book a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I had that book over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that jumped out at me the most, he say, "Oh yes, and we used you all to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and we are not ceding power."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I just it leaves you speechless. It kind of depresses you and all of that because you know it's wrong. And if you really want to reach out and strangle somebody,
Yes, God.
but but I don't know, but it's a touchy subject. But
Yeah.
I would just say, yes, be a good person, try to live your best life. The white man that you work with ain't have nothing to do with enslaving your peoples, but at the same time, I think that there is some repair to be done. I think that black people are old. I don't know how much they owe, but I think they owe something. I think there's some major repair to be done to black people from white people on a scale that's beyond my scope. I wouldn't know. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much all I want to say. And just thank you for taking my video call. All right.
Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Thank you for always having great dialogue. I'm actually going to get that book and read it. So thank you for sharing that with me as well. And I'm going to remain positive. Um, I thank God for the people that He placed in my life to keep me centered. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay centered. When
Yes, ma'am.
I said it in my intro video, I honestly don't believe it's a revolution of white and black. It's right and wrong. If we could just see,
Agreed. Yes, ma'am.
let's
Ain't
just get it right together.
that,
Um,
that's what I was saying. Morally, everything you said is on the money, but in practice is the problem.
hmm
They
hmm
one last thing, then I swear I'm gonna go and get off of here.
You're good.
Just with spirituality, it's well known. They say everybody know this. The most segregated time in America is 11 a.m. on Sunday.
hmm
It shouldn't have to be like that,
hmm hmm
but it is.
hmm hmm hmm
So
And so
so
again,
I,
we have to be intentional about it, though, and not just us. The world has to be intentional about what they want their life to look like,
yeah,
and that means going places where there's people that don't look like you and you may be uncomfortable, but in the end you will learn something different, you will learn something new. And this I know, because I know if I didn't have certain people in my life, I probably wouldn't have paid attention to certain uh, politics or
mhm,
legislative things that were trying to be passed. They wouldn't have crossed my mind as much if I didn't have certain people in my life. Even from the standpoint of my brother and my daughter, I'm aware when it comes to disabilities and not being treated fairly, or going to a business and you don't have a way for somebody to get in, and neither one of my kids are in a wheelchair, but if I walk into a business, I'm looking to see if anybody can have access to this business, if anybody can, because my mind has been programmed to look at the world that way. So until we
yeah,
start programming our mind to see differently, and that's not just me or black people, it's everybody, then we're gonna keep seeing the same stuff. Because I don't think the world is like this. I don't think Paris and France. I could be wrong, but I don't think that the entire world is like this. I think this is a chunk of this is the United States,
I would agree. Yeah. All
and
right.
too many of y'all serve together and be on the front lines defending our country together for us to still not be a united nation.
I
Um,
agree.
and that's the part that makes me sad. You know, I've buried or watched uncles be buried. I had an aunt that served in the military. So I have family members that are police officers, and I want them to come home safe, just like I want all of them to go home safe. So again, it still goes back to where do we mess up? And I
Yeah.
know people that the whole young parent, they start having kids. No, I had my daughter my senior year in high school. Was it the proudest moment of my life? No. Was it the worst moment of my life? No. It just mean I had to grow up a little faster than everybody else and make sure that I be the mother that I needed to be. And my mama wasn't gonna be no grandmama. She said she wasn't ready, so she didn't do no whole lot of babysitting. And it taught me my kids are 6 years, 7 months apart. The first two, and the last one is 9 years apart, and 15 from the oldest, because I ain't had nobody to watch my kids for me to go out and party. But I don't know. We got to have something different to look at. And you said that James Evans was the last Black father, but for me, it was Heathcliff Huxtable. They can say what they want to say about Bill Cosby. I, I don't know. I wasn't there, but Heathcliff and Claire was something that I saw that was positive. And though they were a doctor and lawyer, it didn't mean we had to be a doctor and lawyer. But everybody remembers the episode where Claire Daniel cut Vanessa's neck off, and we've all experienced that with our kids a time or two. So yeah, but I thank you, Derek, for calling in, for supporting me. You just don't know it. It uplifts me. It helps me a lot. I'm gonna keep pushing and doing this thing. Somebody told me Saturday, was like, man, you just talk and it don't be that on the screen. Well, I signed up for this. A lot of people don't know I'm out here yet, so we'll see.
In due time. Just
Yeah,
keep pushing, partner. In
yeah,
due time.
and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
because everybody, I had 120 some subscribers too. Ain't nothing to it. So
they can
you,
do
so,
it.
yeah. All right. Well,
I
you take
thank
care of yourself here.
I will. And you have a good night.
Yes, ma'am. Bye bye.
Bye. So that was Mr. Derek, guys. He is absolutely amazing. He definitely respectfully always encourages me to keep moving forward, and to keep pushing forward. And I'm so grateful for that. Grateful for him, the TR show, the Chris Thorne show that's locally in Memphis, Brooke Valentine, Wanston, a few of them were in the chat, and I'm so grateful for them. Pretty Saucy, they've all helped and supported me throughout this, and so for that, I'm grateful. I told you guys again this week that I would have but that we will be supporting the Bubble Bistro again this week, and so I've put their link up on the screen. But also, I want to tell you that last week we did do a drawing on Saturday, and we're going to do it again this Saturday for the local business that or small business that we're supporting. And with the Bubble Bistro being one, we will do a gift card again this Saturday. Where you can go and get some goodies. She has all type of what do you call it? Lotions and body butters and frostings and sweet treats and just body oils. So I suggest you go over there and check it out. The link is up on the screen. It's www.bubblebistro.com. They also have a Facebook page, and they're also all on all other social media outlets. Guys, I can't thank you enough for coming out. I've shared with you tonight what is my unprofessional opinion. I call it my unprofessional opinion because, again, I'm not an expert. I don't have all the answers. I do know that love conquers all. And I do know that I can love the hell out of somebody And that's what I plan to do. So with that being said, I thank you guys for joining me on my live tonight. I'll see you guys on Thursday. I don't know what the topic will be, but I'm sure it'll be something that we need to talk about today. But other than that, thank you. Please hit like, please comment, please subscribe. You don't have to agree with everything. We may not see eye to eye, but let's just have the conversations and talk about it so that we can move forward together. And I think we're better together. And I'll say that always until I'm shown something different, but I don't believe anything different. I believe we're better together. With that being said, Derek, again, thank you. Can't thank you enough. I appreciate everything that you do. Shout out to my husband for being my executive producer tonight. You guys will see that in the front. Still working on this whole website thing, guys. I don't have it down packed, but I'm trying to get it there and trying to finish school all at the same time. So just pray for me, lift me up. I love you guys. I thank you. Yeah, and that's all I got. Peace, love, and soul. Bye.